Hello everyone, I'm back, your movie guru, with another review. This time I'm going to be bringing you something that might have flown under your radar. So this film is Malignant. It's starring Annabelle Wallis, directed by James Wan. If you know anything about James Wan movies, so he's a pretty big name director now. You'll have recognized him from the Saw franchise, the Insidious franchise, the Conjuring universe. He directed one of the Fast and Furious films, and most recently he directed Aquaman. So he's well versed in the genre of horror, and that's kind of where he got his start. To go on to bigger successes. So given that, I had known that, especially with as many of the Conjuring movies that I've seen, I had known that going in about James Wan. But when I read reviews for this film, one of the most common threads that I came across were people kept saying that James Wan's last movie grossed over $1 billion, and he chose to follow it up with this, which is very much unexpected. At the time, I wasn't sure what they were referring to. I did understand that, hey, usually, you have a film that grosses over $1 billion. Pretty much as a director, the world's your oyster at that point. Pretty much any studio is going to trust that you know what you're doing, and they're going to give you a lot of leeway into creating the type of film that you want to create. And as the person who's made the Conjuring universe, who's made the Saw franchise, helped with the Insidious franchise, I'm like, okay, he's been doing horror. Horror's his thing. Why are so many people saying it's surprising that he would make a horror film like this? And didn't understand until I saw the film. So for those of you who don't know anything about it, it's currently playing in theaters, and it's also streaming on HBO Max. I decided to check this one out from HBO Max. But you don't know anything about it. A woman starts to have visions of these murders that's going on. So this killer is killing people, and she has visions of it happening. So like she can, her body or like her mind is transported to the house or wherever these killings are being placed, and she can see them happen in real time as this killer called Gabriel starts killing these people. So that's what you can tell from the trailer. Without giving any spoilers, I would 100% say this is a film that the less that you go into knowing, the better. But given that, I say I understand why it's got the rating that it does. So on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 74% positive score by the critics, but only 50% by the audience. And I believe I understand it's because the movie that you get once you go to watch this is not the movie that you expected. So like I said, having seen a lot of James Wan's films, I am a fan of his. I usually like the direction that he takes his movies. I liked a lot of the Conjuring movies. I liked a couple of the Saw movies. I liked the Insidious franchise. Seeing those horror films, you might expect, and then the trailer does more to advance this idea that you're getting something similar to that. Another film, Lights Out, that he did. So I thought that this was going to be something similar to that. It was going to be in that vein of horror movie. But once you see the film, you will see that it's not that way at all. It's very much more akin to, I would say, something like Evil Dead. I wouldn't say it's not quite as campy and comical as like Shaun of the Dead, something like that. but you do have some of those elements from some of the more comical horror films. You know, horror films that have got a little bit of comedy mixed into it. You do have more of the. I don't want to say that you have a whole lot of those elements, but you have more of those elements than you expected. Given that if you just saw the trailer and if you're familiar with James Wan's prior work, it gives you something different than what you're expecting. So that doesn't surprise me that only 50% of the audience gave it a positive score, because if you may love French toast, you may love waffles, but if you take a bite into some French toast thinking it's waffles, you're going to be disappointed because it's not what you expected. I think if you go into this with a fresh set of eyes, kind of clear your mind into what you're going to expect, other than, hey, this is going to be a horror film, but come in thinking it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's another critique that I say that a lot of the audience gave it, and I can understand it too. It's not as scary as the trailer makes you think it's going to be. It's not that type of way. It is a very gory film, but it's not that much on the scary side. It does have its scarier elements. It does have points in the film, you know, where they scare you and make you jump and make you feel like what's going on, but it's not this film that's just going to fill you with dread and horror throughout the whole thing. So just be prepared for that. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. I can remember watching this film, and even though, you know, I wasn't hanging on the edge of my seat or, you know, in terror or anything like that, but there's a certain point in this film when you kind of just roll with it and then accept what you're seeing. You're kind of like, this is kind of awesome what's going on. It's not at all what I expected, but it's very entertaining and it's very fun. So I think if you throw out that notion that, hey, I'm coming to this film to be terrified, and you come with the notion that, okay, I'm coming to be entertained, maybe see something that's not 100% like what I've seen before. It's kind of a throwback or an homage to some earlier horror films. I think that you'll have a lot of fun. It is gory, so keep that in mind. But I give it a 7.5 out of 10. If you don't want to go see this in theaters, I do think that you do experience a lot of the fun. I watched it at home and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But if you do want that big screen experience, I definitely don't think that you'll come out of this thinking that, hey, I wasted my time by going to see this in theaters. I think it's very entertaining. But let me know what you think. You may watch this and you might be like most of those people that gave it, or only half of the audience gave it a positive review, so the other half gave it a negative. So you might fall into that camp and you say, I don't know what you're talking about. That movie was terrible. You need to go see it again, get your eyeballs checked. I can take it. Let me know. Write me a comment. You know, tell me your thoughts on the movie, and we can talk about it. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for your support, and I will see you on the next one.